The 89th Salon de l'Automobile in Geneva runs from today until the 17th of March. And if you can't attend, we've summarized the main takeaways from the show that we were able to capture yesterday on one of the two press days. The main theme running through this year's show is no doubt electrification. There is electricity in the air wherever you look, as we'll come back to. Secondly, it's notable that some large brands are not present. Volvo, Land Rover, Range Rover are not participating in this year's show, which says something about the financial commitment of being here. Thirdly, there's clearly an emergence of brands from the New World, quite notably China, and we'll see some of those. So, let's kick it off. This is the Arc Fox Series 7 that you've probably never heard about. It's a Chinese electric supercar from Arc Fox, a sub-brand of Beijing Automobile, BAIC. However, electric cars comes in all shapes or forms, as demonstrated by De Vinci, a French marque doing classic cars with electric engines, or Lagonda, the sub-brand of Aston Martin that shows this beautiful prototype of some kind of family sedan with a spectacular interior that we'll probably only see as a show car, but perhaps something similar will one day come into production. The Audi e-tron will hit production soon, not as a sedan seen here, but rather as an SUV similar to the Q5, but fully electric with an engine capable of a range of something like 400 kilometers. No fake exhaust pipes anymore, but some nice technical solutions, one of which we'll certainly see more of is the rear view cameras that project an image of what happens behind the car rather than being mirrors. It's where you usually place your arm to rest, so it could be a bit difficult to see at times. Otherwise, the Audi is a nice car. It has a decent boot, making it family capable for those not traveling too far, too long, and especially not in winter. Audi had invested a lot in the electric theme. On their big stage, there was actually not a single car that was non-electric or at least non-hybrid. But we had been told there was one, and actually, having searched a bit, we did manage to find it. You see the lights of the 10th anniversary edition of the Audi R8. But as you can see, it was well hidden in some kind of VIP room behind shaded glass. For Audi, electricity is clearly the future. The Mercedes EQC is Merc's take on the Audi e-tron concept, and that's all we'll say about that here. However, on the Nordic front, we will happy to see, in the absence of Volvo, at least Polestar, the Volvo sub-brand, here presenting the Polestar 2, following on after the Polestar 1 Coupe. The 2 is a direct competitor to the Tesla Model 3. It's a four-door sedan with room for 5 people. Looks a bit like Volvo, looks good, although I personally prefer the Model 3. It's meant to be sold around $50,000 or probably slightly above. Special about it is a fully vegan, completely biodegradable interior that, however, looks to scratch very quickly, and whether that's compatible with a $50,000 car, I doubt. So electric cars really seem to be here to stay, and there's a lot to be said about them. There's also a lot to be said about charging, where there's a lot happening. You'll hear some of it later in this post, but we'll also revert to it at a later point to address it separately. Luckily for the petrol heads amongst us, there was a few non-electric cars to see as well. None more exclusive than the Bugatti La Voiture Noire, the black car, of which there is only one that you see featured here. The black car is a tribute to the Bugatti Atlantique or Type 57, in which there were 4 built in the 30s. The 4th one disappeared mysteriously, and it was Jean Bugatti's personal car. That car was black and referred to as La Voiture Noire. This new black car has been sold to Ferdinand Piëch, the old Volkswagen boss and grandson of Ferdinand Porsche, for the pocket money of around 15 million euros. It's a car that puts even the Chiron in the shade, but at this stage it is only a prototype completed in about 2 years. Over at Aston Martin, it was all about the Valkyrie, the super sports car developed together with Red Bull Racing. It's going into production now, weighs a ton, has a V12 engine of something like 1150 horsepower, and it's all yours for £3 million, and it looks like every one of them. Koenigsegg, the pride of the Swedish town of Ängelholm, this year featured a Riera completely in carbon that you see here, quite spectacular as well. Now over at Ferrari was obviously the world premiere of the F8 Tributo, the successor to the 488 with slightly better aerodynamics and 40 kilos lower weight, sharing the engine with the 488 Pista, developing here 720 horsepower. Porsche, in contrast, had quite a discreet presence this year, focusing on the history of the 911, not the Mission E, Porsche's electrical project that was not on stage, but the beautiful 911 from the 70s that you see here was. Far more opulent and arguably less beautiful is the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, shown here in some kind of golden color. Fantastic materials, wood, leather, 5 centimeters thick carpets, but a bit too much of everything. The option list is long. You can opt for the 2 chairs that are foldable from your luggage space, but if you do, be aware that you need to send your luggage with some normal car because the space is then reduced to something comparable to a Golf. Now, if you're in the market for a luxury SUV, I would much rather go for the Bentley Bentayga. Not beautiful either, but less ugly, almost as beautiful materials, and it'll save you about $200,000. The car with most presence in this segment is, however, no doubt the new G-Wagon. New car looking exactly like the old one, and they've even had the good taste of retaining the unique sound of closing the door. The interior, on the other hand, is completely updated. It looks like a modern Mercedes with the double screens, not yet the MBUX, but otherwise like any E-Class. And sitting up here is really making you feel like the king of the world. Now, this year's prize for the ugliest car goes to Mansory for this absolutely horrific interpretation of the otherwise quite beautiful Merc S-Class convertible. We'll round it off with something far more beautiful and potentially quite disruptive for the whole electric car industry. This is the Peach Mark Zero, the first prototype of Peach Design AG, a Swiss company set up in 2017 by Tony Peach, one of the sons of Ferdinand Peach. The Mark Zero is a beautiful coupe. It has a dual engine system, a 75 kilowatt battery, and a range of something like 400 kilometers. But what is revolutionizing here is really the charging. You see, this charging technique that has been developed in China by a German engineer and of which we know little else, this charging technique will charge the battery of the car to 80% in 4 minutes and 40 seconds. That claim is made by someone carrying the name of Peach, so it has some weight, and it's also been verified separately. And that's the kind of factor that can still revolutionize the electrical car industry. And that's really the tipping point where we stand today. It seems pretty obvious that the future will be electric in some format, but what the standard will be, and also including and perhaps especially in terms of charging standard, would that still remains to be seen. But I'd be surprised myself if at the 90th Autosalon in the year 2020 there would not be even more electric cars than there were today.